Welcome back to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. Well, he is an actor, a comedian, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, always in the news, the prototype of exceptional talent, and you can see him on Monday nights on Chuck. In the house with us, Mark Christopher Lawerence. Good morning.
Good morning, Josefa. Thank you for having me.
I love Chuck. It's funny. It's interesting because I'm a big fan of like the Jason Bourne novels.
Right.
So I love CIA, FBI, espionage kind of stuff. I love those kind of novels. I love those kind of TV shows. I just love The Event. That's why I catch you guys right before The Event, and it's really cute. But the thing about Chuck, it's kind of funny sometimes too.
Well, like for example, last night's episode didn't really feature the Buy More, which is where I work on the show, and every time they're in the Buy More, it's funny.
Right.
It's always funny in the Buy More.
So how is it coming naturally being funny, and then you're on TV? Do they ever make you do something that's not funny, and you're like, but this should be funny?
I think what happens is, my character is not necessarily funny. I mean, He doesn't think of himself as being funny, but I think the humor comes out of the way he is. I mean, he's grown over the four years that we've been on. First season, he was just mean all the time, and that was funny. But now he's sort of morphed into a kinder, gentler boss. And it just gives him a little more dimension. And even if it's written straight, just being naturally funny, sort of, I tend to find my tweak on it.
So we've seen you, let's see, The Monique Show, Tavis Smiley Talks, Hitched Magazine, Tightrope Magazine, The 700 Club, lots of places. What is your favorite thing to do? Do you like being an actor? Would you prefer to be a comedian? And or is it the best of both worlds?
I think it's the best of both worlds. I mean, I love being a comedian. I mean, you make people laugh for a living.
Right.
Saturday night, I was at the Ice House for 2 shows in Pasadena, and just had a great time. People were cracking up, and then I like being on stage. I like doing plays.
Like theater?
Yeah, I love theater.
Oh, see, that's a true test right there of an actor's chops is theater.
I did August Wilson's the piano lesson last February and had a great time. I mean, it's a bear of a play. I mean, as an actor, I mean, you really have to sink your teeth in, and but luckily August lays it out so nicely for you. If you say the words, you're halfway there. So I love theater. I think that's probably my first love. Comedy comes really easy to me, so I think I work harder at the dramatic stuff. So I think I'm a better dramatic actor than comedic actor because I work harder at it.
Now, does comedy come natural because you've been funny ever since you were a kid?
I was funny as a kid. Yeah.
So you were the ha-ha person in the family, huh?
Yeah, well, it's funny. My mother is very funny. She doesn't think she's funny, but she cracks me up. There's a couple of stories that I'm going to put into my act that she doesn't know about yet, but she is very funny. And my sister is funny. My brother was funny. So we were all pretty loose. When you're poor,
right? Right.
You got to be able to laugh at it,
right?
Otherwise, you're crying all the time.
Yeah. So sarcasm plays a huge role in our house.
Yeah. I remember one Christmas. It's like I got socks and underwear, and a friend of mine came over and he said, "What'd you get for Christmas?" I said, "Socks and underwear." I said, "But there's a whole lot of love in this house."
Gotta have fresh chonies.
Yes.
Always gotta have fresh chonies. So as you move along, where do you see yourself going? I see you're an entrepreneur and a philanthropist. Entrepreneur, what is your entrepreneurial vision?
Well, I think right now it's like I want to produce things that are funny. Because I think the way to reach people is through laughter, especially in this economy. People need a good laugh, and so I've been producing DVDs, gospel comedy DVDs. Squeaky clean, bring the family, and basically it's gospel music and stand up comedy that's squeaky clean. So anybody can come to my shows. My company basically started as a joke. It started as a clothing company. I wanted to do like suits for big guys, but it became such a distraction from the business of acting and comedy that I decided, well, what's the best way to be an entrepreneur and do what I love to do? And it's, you might as well stay in the same field. And so I produce projects for me.
You must have the same belief I have then, that you can make people laugh without using 4-letter words.
Absolutely.
It's not the swear words that are funny.
No. I was talking to a comic the other day who I think is very funny, a San Diego comic, and but every time I see him, he's cursing. And I said to him, Cortez, you are really funny. Why do you cuss? I said, how does the F-bomb help your joke? I said, my challenge for you is to do the same joke without the expletives and see what happens. So one night he goes on stage and he says, okay, I'm going to go for it tonight. And he does it. And he's funnier than I'd ever seen him. And, he thought he was, really nervous and slow because he had to think about not cussing. I said, but, that's the thing, man. It's like people don't want to hear that all day. Every comic that comes up, blah, 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 blah. You get bombarded with that and then it desensitizes you and you want to leave the room. Mm-hmm. So for me, no cussing.
Well, I think you can be equally as effective when you're angry. Everything. I've said some really mean things without using one single swear word.
Right. Exactly.
So,
I think when you cuss, you're taking the easy way out.
Yeah, it's like a crutch.
Yeah.
It's like everybody can use that word.
Yeah. You got other words in there. Shake them out of that head of yours.
So, where would you like to see comedy go?
Before the big boom of stand-up comedy TV shows, back, what was that, mid-'80s, there was a lot of clubs around, and you could go out and see a lot of people live, and then the market got saturated by television, and a lot of clubs went under. I would like to see more clubs pop up again, so you can see people live, go out and see new talent live, and some of the old guys come through. It'd be nice to sort of just see a sort of a resurgence of comedy clubs around the country. I mean, there's some old staples that are still there,
right?
But it'd be nice to see some new, hot happening places.
Why not mix it up a little bit? Why not a comic in between acts at a show?
And basically that's what my DVD is. It's I have comics and live music. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what it is. It's like, I like music and I like comedy, so let's put the two together and see how that works.
So, philanthropist. So what are the things that make your heart warm and that you say, okay, I've got a celebrity behind my name and my presence, so this is the direction I'm going to head with it?
Generally, if kids are involved, I show up. And right now, I think my favorite charity that I've been working with is Act Today, Autism Care and Treatment. And unlike Autism Speaks, they're not focusing necessarily on a cure. They're focusing on the now. It takes about $3 million to raise a kid throughout a kid's lifetime with autism, to properly care for a kid. And so how does the average family take care of that? Where does that money come from? And Autism Care and Treatment, they are a company that a charity that really assists in that. Mm-hmm. Right now, we've launched a campaign that's for military families. 1 out of 10 kids in America are diagnosed with autism. 1 out of 88 in the military are diagnosed with autism. And the discrepancy in numbers is there's no research to find out why that is. And my theory is that when people are relocated, deployed to different cities and different countries, I don't think records are kept very well in the military. I don't think the trail follows well. So they get to a new school and all of a sudden kids are getting vaccinated. And I think there's definitely a connection between vaccinations and autism. And I think one of the problems is that there's been no research done on kids that don't have autism. There's only been research done on kids with autism, and the common denominator is vaccinations.
Do you know anyone with autism?
I have a nephew who has a son and who's been diagnosed with autism, and he married a young lady who has a son that's diagnosed with autism. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it hits a little close to home.
Well, it's a very important subject for us here. We do a lot to support it. We've had a number of different organizations on, especially when the HBO documentary came out.
Oh, yes.
On autism. We had the producers here talking about it because it's something that's affecting a lot of people's lives, and it's growing and growing and growing. But they keep saying, "Oh, well, it's really nothing. It's just happening." Well,
right.
When something grows and grows and grows,
right.
Something's making it happen.
Right. Nothing just happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I think it's time to sort of really step back and take a look at how we're living. Mm-hmm. What are the things that are the common denominators of these kids that we can really affect by changing, and how do we bring about that change? And how do we, I think most importantly, how do we assist families in need? It's like you have a kid that you can't communicate with. How do you deal with that? Some cases are reversible. You catch it early enough, mm-hmm. And with treatment that can happen. And that's one thing I like about Autism Care and Treatment Act Today is that they are progressive in trying to help families nip it in the bud early and get some help.
Right. Yeah, there's some, I've seen lots of the research where if they start early enough and young enough, that there's ways to help that mind form
Yes.
in a way to work with what they have.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So great. So that's your passion. How about personal passion? What do you want to see yourself doing? You got a great acting career. You've done stage. You are an entrepreneur. You're producing things. You have this heartfelt cause for autism. What are you going to do personally for yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
I don't know. I'm a man of simple needs. I like to eat. I like to cook. I like to go places. I want to travel a little more. Without having to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like most of my travel now consists of I hop on a plane and get off a plane and go to work.
So do you guys go on location a lot for the show?
For the show, my part of the show is basically here in Burbank, right,
Okay.
right at Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you're talking about when you're a comedian.
But as a comic,
Okay.
I travel. If I'm doing a movie, a lot
Right.
of times I travel. It would be nice to just spend some time in Europe or other parts of the world, Africa maybe, and not have to tell a joke. Just go and
Just
enjoy.
go and have some fun.
Yeah. I think it's time to start doing that kind of thing.
Well, I think if more of us got the opportunity to visit other places, or even in this country, there's people in California who've never been anywhere else. There's people in Michigan who've never been outside of Michigan. I'm like, seriously? You can go to Canada. It's right across the bridge.
Right.
It's just, and what amazes me when I moved to California and I started talking about the snow, and I found out that it was only 2 hours away, that I could go to the snow whenever I wanted to. And people said, "Oh, I've never seen the snow." And how is that possible?
Right.
It is 2 hours away.
Right. Look up there on that hill. It's right there.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, you can drive to it. You can drive to it and then go to the beach for sunset all in the same day.
Right. Right.
We just have to, I think, inspire people more to start learning more about each other.
Desert, snow, city, all in one day in California.
Definitely. What do you think that generation that's in their 20s right now, the actors, the musicians, the comedians, I really don't know that many comedians in that age. It seems like we're skipping a generation here on comedians because I'm not seeing too many come up that
They're
are
out there. They're out there. I tend to hire a lot of young comics for my shows. I do a show here in Los Angeles at Cafe Muse the first Friday of every month. And so I use it as basically a workout room for myself, and I hire young comics to come and work there so I can see them and then put them in my shows where it's like I generally the format that I use is open, middler, and headliner, open feature headliner, and so I'll put a young comic on at Cafe Muse so I can see whether or not I want to pay him to do a show.
Right.
Where we got to travel.
So is there ever an open call where you can just come down and it's an open mic and you can stand up and do your thing?
It's not really an open mic, but if a young comic is interested in coming to play Cafe Muse, just show up on first Friday. And if I don't have a ton of comics, I'll put you on. And if I do, then at least I get your contact info and I'll invite you down to do another night.
Ah, see, look what we've just provided an opportunity for the audience out there. So is there a website about you? We can go find out more because we've learned a lot today.
There is a website, markchristopherlawrence.com. And we're actually going to be rebuilding it soon. I just took some new pictures, so we'll rebuild it soon. But right now, I post stuff on it as it comes up.
So your comedy, if we want to see where you're going to be performing for comedy, we can go there. It'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be there. I think more immediate is like Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
I post every day on there what's going on. And Facebook is basically Mark Christopher Lawerence. And Twitter, it's Mark, capital M-A-R-K, capital C-H-R, capital L-A-W-R-E-N-C-E.
Okay, well, I'll make sure all of that is up on my webpage in case people want to follow you on Twitter and go see you on Facebook. I'll friend you today, so you better accept my friendship. Okay, look for it from me. And I'll make sure that the link to your website is up on my webpage at hot923.com, keyword Josefa. Definitely a prototype of exceptional talent. Very, very nice. It was so nice to have you here. You are welcome back anytime. My mic is your mic. Anytime you have a cause or an event or an act is doing something and you want to let us know about it, just call up and we'll throw you on and give you as much, exposure as we can. If you have a new project, a new movie coming up, anything, come back, call us up, let us know so we can tell the world.
Thank you so much. That's very generous of you.
I just love successful people like that who are doing well in their field, giving other people opportunities as well. Mark Christopher Lawerence from the TV show Chuck. Check him out online, especially if you're a comic and you're looking for that shot for people to hear you. There are a lot of walks and charity events going on in the next week or two. Please go to my webpage at hot923.com, keyword Josefa, to get yourself caught up on the community events going on around town. Mother's Day is coming up next Sunday. If you'd like to leave your mother a special Mother's Day message that will air on the radio on Mother's Day, email me right now, Salinas at AOL.com. Give me a number to reach you at this week. I'll call you. We'll pre-record it. And next Sunday, your Mother's Day message will be right there for Mom. I'm Salinas. Until we get together again, you stay strong, stay focused, most of all, stay informed. I'll see you next Sunday on the Community Review, Hot 92.3. Have a beautiful, wonderful, blessed day.